It's going. No nonsense, Shelby. Okay.
Okay. That was a one-sided
Right
conversation in
into
the
it.
audio.
Right into it. Right into this bowl.
Right into
This pot of boiling over. It's just gurgling. It's making those awful like sounds. It's S. Soup. Come on, do the intro.
What's better? A gurgling, boiling stew, or when you have a really creamy mac and cheese and you just shove the spoon in there a lot?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SMSoup, the #1 podcast with soup in the name, but not on the brain. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Shelby.
And together, Shelby and I, we're married.
Yeah. Facts only.
This is a big old bowl of wedding soup. We're here to take you on a journey through life's biggest questions, asking the important ones.
Sometimes.
I would say the most important ones.
Uh-huh.
And it all starts with, waiter, how is this soup made? And it's made with...
Love.
Go ahead and start with some onions and garlic.
Mm-hmm.
Getting going in a nice pot.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby, what is going on? How have you been? What have you been up to?
Not much.
I feel like we both had such a good week
Nope.
a week
Last
ago.
week. Yeah, I agree.
And we were like, wow, this whole week felt really good. The week was satisfying. It felt like things were just like really good after, even, with work being whatever, but like everything felt really good. And this week felt kind of the opposite.
Felt like draining. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We were like, we feel so refreshed. That's crazy. And then this week, you couldn't get me to do anything. Also, should we have the ring light on?
I was trying to. I was trying to get you to do stuff.
Kinda. Yeah, I couldn't do shit this week. To focus on the highs. Oh God, so many colors. To focus on the highs.
I wasn't trying to get you to do anything, by the way.
No, I know.
To focus on the highs.
I got a little garden going. I got it going very late into when you should get a garden going.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested to see what happens going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't want to spend not that you have to spend a ton of money to garden, but there's some upfront costs depending on what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to spend as little as possible because I knew I was starting it at a quote unquote late time in the season. So I've been largely just regrowing seeds from foods we've eaten and cut up. Or just regrowing the certain plants that can regrow themselves based off stuff we bought from the grocery store. And nothing's come out of it yet. No finished food. But I got some onions regrowing, some scallions regrowing. I've got a bell pepper, little sprout. The funny thing is all those probably take minimum 3 months.
Yeah.
So from 3 months from now, it's probably gonna be too cold.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm gonna do with any of it.
You know what I could really go for?
Huh.
Because you said scallions, and it made me think about how you for an entire year conflated the two between scallions and scallops.
Yes.
I could really go for scallops.
Yeah, that'd be
my
really
dad's
good.
scallops.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
I agree.
Should tell him to do it for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that would be the best.
Our house, our rules.
That would literally be the best. I feel like seafood is one of those things I don't have super often, but when I do, oof.
That's literally Thanksgiving though, right?
No, not for me.
Thanksgiving food is just food that for whatever reason you don't have any other time outside of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but for the most part, I could care less about most Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, agreed. Filling is the main
Literally,
thing.
yeah.
And pie.
Sure. Yep.
And turkey to a degree.
No.
But I like chicken more than I like turkey.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would eat turkey.
I mean, yeah, I eat it.
I would eat it once a week or whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would eat any Thanksgiving food like once a week. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah,
and that's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not so good. We've
Yeah.
talked about this.
We
We've
definitely
done
have.
this.
We have.
We've done this song and dance.
Yep.
All right. The
Yep.
only thing it's good for is the leftovers. You can put it in a soup. Start with some onion and some garlic.
You make the Spencer special soup.
I don't know where we were going with that.
I don't know.
You were talking about your garden, and
yeah,
I
that was it.
interrupted
I
to
was
say
just
you
trying to
said
have a
scallions.
high. I was trying to have a good because really this week was very whatever. And I've really hated that recently. I've been very like, oh, just like week's been whatever. I feel like it's been very like, wow, was that week kind of a waste? Like I feel like it's been a little bit of a very like bleh ending of looking back. And that's very disappointing, you know? Maybe you don't see it that way.
Such is life. I try not to think about it too much because then I start thinking about my existence and then I have existential crisis.
Yeah, you see, I live in a constant existential crisis.
No, you don't, because every time I bring it up, you're just like, you're not supposed to have a meaning. Which isn't
true.
even like my issue more often than not.
I really consume my brain over how we use time, but not in like a productivity way, like how the internet talks about time, but just like what we're actually doing with it.
Yeah.
And the perceived value of those things.
Yeah. And how one person's time can be worth more than somebody else's time. Isn't that neat?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, not to be a socialist cuck, but I think everybody is entitled to believe that their time is the most valuable to themselves and that they shouldn't need to give their time for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that they can live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's a crazy concept.
Okay. No, I hear you.
What do you want to talk about this week? I actually have something.
Okay. I have a very
but
small
I wanted to see
quip
if you
of
had
something. A very small quip of something.
Small quip of something?
Sorry, is there anything you wanted to highlight from this past week?
No.
Any highs?
No, don't worry
Any
about
lows?
it. Don't worry about it.
Anything exciting? Okay. We, funny enough, just passed the day that is marked as the most called out sick day of the year. Did you know that? August 24th.
Is that Wednesday?
It might have been Wednesday, yeah. The day you were debating calling out sick.
What's today? Today's Sunday, the 27th, 26th, 25th. 24th would have been Thursday.
Tuesday. Oh, okay. August 24th has been marked as the day that the study is from the last 5 years of around 3,000 organizations with more than 10,000 employees participated in a study with Flamingo Leave Tracker. So I guess if your company had to like use that tracker, I presume that was the companies that were studied for this. And over the past 5 years, August 24th was seen as the day with the most sick days. And they were kind of like, why? And really, we don't know because this was a study done in the United States also, just to be clear. It's not a part of like the height of influenza. It's not a part of like anything specific in terms of like trends. I see it as the week before most like school starts back up. So whether it's just like they at the end they see it as most likely people are just using it to have a day off. Like most likely.
No.
Which of course they're like, that's good. Mental health days are good. And I'm just like, I mean, they're having to most likely having to fake a sickness just to get a day off, which is not good in my opinion. Like we should just be able to like rest. But yeah, we just passed the second most sick day of the year. It's February 13th, which they're like always falls around Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl.
It's the day before Valentine's Day.
Right.
Also, you would think that if anything, the most called out sick day would be the day after the Super Bowl.
That's true.
That's kind of weird that it's like right before. So the 13th, I guess the 13th could be the day after the Super Bowl.
This year was the day of the Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because remember, wasn't it literally the Super Bowl and then the next day was Valentine's Day?
No, that was 2 years ago or something. I think.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'm paying very little attention. But
wow, two things I don't care about.
Not to go down that rabbit hole again.
Super Bowl and love.
But yeah, so we just passed the most called out sick day of the year.
Is that really the only thing you brought?
Yep.
we didn't talk at all before this about like,
We didn't.
do either of us have a game plan?
Mm-mm.
And so I wanted to see what was going to happen and if all of the burden was going to be put on me. And surprise, surprise, it was. Last week,
flashback to the past like 6 weeks of this podcast.
Last week or 2 weeks ago. What? What? Last week or 2 weeks ago, amidst talking about all the movies and shows we've been watching, we also brought up and talked about the writer's strike and everything going on there and, you know, why it's fucking important. And I don't know if you saw what the new drama is.
Probably not.
I mean, this is just one of many, I'm sure. Dune has been pushed back.
No.
Which is really funny.
I'm saying that very sarcastically. I hope that's clear.
If you would have learned anything from Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible and Barbie, it's that even though the strike's going on, you're probably better off to just release the movie rather than putting up with and blaming the strike, unless you can't have the movie go because you need to pay the people. Which, if that's the case, you're pushing it back as a refusal to just pay people what they're worth.
Okay.
I don't know all the facts here, but that's why they're pushing it back.
They're pushing it back so they don't have to pay?
Because of the strike. They're blaming it on the strike.
Okay.
And so I guess if they were to release it, it would mean that they would have to pay everybody.
And they don't want to do that?
I don't know. I don't know. But rather than just giving like 1% of his net income, Bob Iger has decided that the writers are asking for too much.
Mm-hmm.
And Dune is, I guess, Warner Brothers. So whoever the head of that is, some rich old fuck, I'm sure. That's all it is. It's just a blatant. We're gonna have to push back the release date.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to push back the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And who do people decide to blame because of it?
Right.
Not the people in the ivory tower. No.
Right.
No. The peasants.
Right.
It's their fault. So my favorite take that I saw, sarcasm, by the way, from, and I'm just going to say the person's name. I don't care. Simone Cromer at Theater of Zen on X.
Of Zen?
Theater of Zen.
Okay.
This person is a, I don't know, self-proclaimed, maybe they do it for a living, movie reviewer, movie critic.
Okay.
So they were excited for Dune, obviously.
Sure.
As they should be.
It would have been a big deal.
You know, and they were very excited and extremely upset because Dune is now going to have to miss out on award season this year.
Oh, no.
And now it has to release in barren March. And they also said, the strikes are incredibly disruptive, and now my most anticipated film has been fucked over and moved to 2024. I officially say fuck you to Sag-aftra, WGA, and AMPTP. You all are the same greedy, whiny, entitled fucks who want to out-fuck the other. The consumer is fucked too.
You know what that sounds like? And I'm not actually equating these two things, but what that sounds like is, I can't go to Hawaii for my vacation because it's on fire.
Exactly.
And I'm mad. That's literally that tone of voice. I'm not actually equating those two scenarios other than people suck and can't see outside of themselves for anything. Because what the fuck? That's all I heard in that tone of voice.
Yep.
Tone of writing, I should say.
Yep.
Is like, literally, wait, I'm just so... How on earth is your pleasure, quote unquote, your pleasure that will literally last, I'm gonna guess that movie's gonna be fucking 2.5 hours or some shit of just staring at deserts or who knows what the fuck, shit's coming out of their nose like they're in the hospital.
Get there, come on.
Your pleasure is worth more.
No, your pleasure is because of, how do you receive the pleasure?
No, I'm just saying this person's valuing their pleasure of 2.5 hours.
But how do they get that pleasure?
I understand. Over the working conditions, working pays, rights, safety, everything, like literally everything a shit ton of people that it took to make that movie that you are seeing on the screen.
There you go. How about it? Isn't that crazy? That was like 5 days ago that they tweeted that out.
Yeah.
I shit you not, because this is the average fucking person who exists today. Less than 24 hours ago, Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States, said, President Joe Biden and I have already approved over $116 billion in debt cancellation for 3.4 million Americans. We will continue fighting to ensure Americans can access high-quality post-secondary education without taking on the burden of unmanageable student loan debt.
Okay.
Simone Cromer,
no,
under that tweet, goes, I did submit an application to the SAVE program, so I'm hopeful it'll help me with paying off my student loans. And to that I say,
movies with Zen.
Theater of Zen.
Theater of Zen.
And to that I say, you rich, whiny college attendees, fuck you.
You're just trying to outfuck someone else.
You're just trying to outfuck the people with mortgages and the people with car loans and the people with all private things, by the way. These are federal loans that we're talking about, not private. You're just trying to outfuck each other.
Yep. Fuck you.
Like, how? How
do you not see it?
How is this the average person?
Because, well, I mean, I doubt that's actually the average person.
It is absolutely the average person. The average person will absolutely look at one thing, see it as a way, receive that equal benefit of some sort,
right,
that other people are up in arms about, and they don't see an issue with it.
Right.
100%. 100% that is the average person. 1000%. Because they're neither extreme right or extreme left. They fall on one side or the other, but they're just so like glass-eyed that they're just oblivious to literally anything. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The average person is absolutely incapable of understanding irony and being able to understand and capable of realizing their own hypocritical behaviors.
Right.
And I get it. Everybody at one point, I know I have been hypocritical in my life. I've probably been hypocritical within the past week. I'm probably being hypocritical right now. And that's what I mean.
Right. No,
you know what I mean? Everybody is like, and it's just insane to me. It's just insane. And like, yeah, of course, I had to go on this person's Twitter feed because I was mad at what they said. And I was like, I'm going to go through your tweets and see what you said. But it's like, you said this 5 days. It's like, this isn't one of those situations of like, you know, somebody when they were 13, they were throwing around the F slur. And then, you know, 9 years later, they're like, well, I'm a totally different person. No, this is somebody who 5 days had passed and they were just like, I really hope I get this benefit. But I don't fucking care about people who can't even afford, like, to live. That's it. I mean, that's the bare minimum, right? They cannot afford to live. Like somebody was talking about how, I guess somebody put on an event, a group put on an event. It might have been Sag-aftra, WG, whatever. They put on an event for free food, like a free grocery drive for the writers who were on strike.
Right.
And writers were in tears, like going through and picking up their groceries because like, what a raw moment of like, these people, like they don't understand what it's like to live like that.
Right.
I don't understand what it's like to live like that, but I can at least be compassionate.
Right.
And also, we have been watching so many movies here of late. Or shows or whatever. Like that's all anybody does, I imagine. The average person. Right? You're taking in some form of entertainment. I play video games, right? There's writers in everything.
Yeah.
In
absolutely.
every fucking thing.
Yeah.
Everything. Like you would not have a fraction of the joy and entertainment in your life that you have if it weren't for the writers. And I would sacrifice all of it if that's what it took. Like if we need to do a hard stop and like nothing gets released,
Yeah.
fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because this is literally the bare minimum. This is literally the bottom of the food pyramid.
Right.
Right? But without them, the rest of the pyramid's not built up.
Right.
It's insane. It's insane to me. And the worst part is that like the execs and stuff have basically talked about it. Like some of them are, full evil villain mode where it's just like winter's coming soon. So like we'll starve them out. Like we don't care. We got time. And it's just so fucked up because like you put people in extreme situations and like, yeah, some people are going to like understandably cave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it will get to the point where it's like, I do just need money.
Right.
And that, like, good old Simone can't see the fucking issue with that. But anyway.
Along those lines, but also taking a hard left turn and not being actually anything. I think the Netflix thing finally happened to me. Yeah.
Booted?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm not. But this big alert popped up yesterday. That was like, you're not
Warning.
You're not part of the home or whatever. Would you like
Wow.
to change your settings? Which I'm not going to.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it happened. And then I sat there and I was like, you know what? For how much? This is really unfortunate. One, because when you just like, were like, I'll just throw this on. You like had a game plan, right? And then it was like, technology told you no. And I was like, how dare you tell me no? But then two,
I am your master.
But then two, I was like, you know what? For how much I can genuinely complain about Netflix, like 100%. They have a lot of problems. I mean, they all do. But I can be like, wow, Netflix is really tanked. I'm like, wow, there were like 4 specific shows that I really liked knowing were on there. They were like in my rotation.
Yeah.
And I just sat there for a moment. I was like, that's so silly to sit there and be like, wow, I, in theory, might not have access to those anymore. And just like thinking about that because it's so stupid that holds. Like, it's not like I was devastated, but just like I really sat there and I was like, the fact that could hold such a grip on me and be like, I don't have access to this anymore.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? And it was just very funny to think about in hindsight. But yeah, I think it happened.
Damn, that's crazy.
So that's the end of an era.
I don't think there's anything.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I literally don't actually care. It was just because I had like one plan in my head, and I was like, "This is what I'm gonna do." And then that's why, because otherwise, when's the last time we've been on Netflix? But I mean, in reality, any streaming service, if it were to enact the policies Netflix is enacting, I'd sit there and I'd go, "Wow, that fucking sucks," and then I'd probably go do something else.
I'd pay for HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been very impressed by Paramount Plus. Do I see longevity in it? No. But based off, we've had it for like a few weeks.
We watched like 6 movies.
Yeah. 6 best movies.
Yeah, and they were all Mission Impossible. Like,
But
that's the only reason why it's like, I've been impressed that it had all the Tom Cruise movies I wanted to watch in the moment.
Thank God. No, it's just, I don't know. It's funny to think about streaming, obviously outside of the writer's strike, the acting strike. Obviously that side of it, there's a million problems, right? But from a consumer perspective, streaming was like this incredible thing that you have access to all of this stuff. It's so exciting. And as we've seen, like for whatever reason, it's greed, it's most likely greed, whatever it be. The services obviously like adjust and do quite often things we don't like. And it's just funny to think like, will they continue to reach a point of basically turning their own customers like away from the service?
100%. The whole Netflix thing is so stupid because 1, they literally at one point tweeted and said, love is sharing a Netflix password. But 2, literally all of these streaming services would just be smart to enact some sort of like tiered system to adding profiles.
Right.
Like literally, like I don't know how much I don't know how much a gallon of milk costs, and I don't know what a month of Netflix costs. I know it used to be $10. I think it's now $14 probably.
Yeah, I think it's always
something
around,
like that.
I think it levitated.
So like it's $14, right?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody wants to add a profile. First profile is, I don't know, a dollar, a dollar extra, because you assume like spouses or
Like a
maybe
kid
maybe
or
you want to
something.
have a parent profile and a kid profile,
Yeah.
right? So a dollar. Next profile costs an additional $2. So now you're up to what? It's $14.99, right? So now it's $17.99.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add another profile, it's $4. And you just keep upping it. It's like a dollar extra per profile, right? That compounds. And then people are going to obviously like hit a point where it's not worth it
Right.
to share the password that extra step. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like do something like that. Literally just bake it into the fucking cost.
Right.
Don't try and like, you look like assholes by trying to try and squeeze everybody.
Right.
And also like, you're literally going against everything you've said in the past.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Absolutely dumb. What a fumble.
And
dumb. Nobody else has done it thus far.
Right.
So like they could have like set like a trend, an expectation or whatever. But the problem is I don't think their like subscriber total has really dropped all that much. But then again, I guess your subscriber total would stay the same. It's just the number of people watching is less.
Yeah, and like the odds of you having convinced someone you kicked to make their own account are probably incredibly low. So your subscriber amount's only gonna stay the same, if not drop a little, depending on like,
there's no way you're like
I used to be splitting this with someone, but now they keep getting kicked off, so it's not worth it. I'm not gonna keep my account.
Right. Because now I need to just pay for a full price.
Yeah.
Before we were splitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid. So anyway.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened. Still updating my life too.
We already did the updates.
Oh.
Part.
Oh.
I guess it's that time to talk about Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Just a reminder, we are on Mission Impossible 5.
Mission Impossible 5.
And that's important for both Shelby and I to know, because after watching Mission Impossible 5, we were too excited that we immediately turned around and watched Mission Impossible 6.
We really did.
5 is called Rogue Nation.
Yes. No.
Ghost Protocol. I thought Ghost Protocol was 4.
No, it isn't. It is Rogue Nation. You're right.
It's 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 6 is Fallout. But we're just talking about 5.
We're just talking about 5. Rogue Nation came out in 2015.
Okay.
Crazy. First note from my notes, in all caps, top tier start to a movie, because to set the scene, all you're talking to is Benji in a field. He's like hidden in a field and he's staring at an airplane, and literally Jeremy Renner, right, is like, they're communicating and they're like, you gotta like stop that plane, you gotta do something about it. They literally bring Luther in for like 2 seconds to like assist with something from afar, and then after clearly it's not working, Tom Cruise just like shows up out of nowhere and goes sprinting off to the plane. And it's the very famous, he was hanging from a side of a plane that literally took off. And yeah, so that scene, fantastic start to a movie.
Yeah, it's just absolutely insane.
I'm obsessed with that scene. Probably like one of my actual favorite scenes in all of Mission Impossible.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, and it is a great start to the movie as well. Is there any like, we've talked about it, right? Like, Tom Cruise is just an adrenaline junkie.
100%.
But like with all the Tom Cruise movies we've been watching, which is a lot. Well, I mean, it's 6 Mission Impossible movies, and then we also watched Top Gun.
Yeah.
So like, you're really seeing him do like all of his fucking Tom Cruise antics.
Yeah.
And I guess like, is it kind of weird that we're all just like collectively watching this dude's fetish, or like, because he absolutely gets off on it.
It is very funny.
Like, and what's weirder, Tom Cruise's adrenaline fetish or Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish?
Foot fetish. Only because society says so.
I was gonna say, is it that the foot fetish is gross, or is it the fact that he makes us watch his foot fetish?
I think it's the fact that he makes us watch his foot fetish. I mean, yeah, obviously I literally think Tom Cruise is crazy for doing the shit he does, but it's like going to see like someone shoot themselves out of a cannon. Like you are like,
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
you go to like a carnival, you go to like a big like performance, like people do, I'll say weird shit, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
But I
like
think the problem is that
because it gives you a level of like adrenaline
Yeah.
watching it.
Well, the problem is that like you
Whereas
sit
watching
there.
someone else's feet doesn't give me personally a sense of adrenaline.
No,
I might others people, but
no, it's not supposed to give you adrenaline. It's supposed to evoke a different form of emotion.
right. Okay, well I'm saying it doesn't do anything for me. Except go, why are there so feet on the screen?
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm so
I think the
sorry.
problem is no, I got it. So the thing is that like, it's not just simply that he like does these things and like it's like, oh whatever, I'm just watching somebody do something. It's the fact that like you know that he did it
Yeah,
and he's not supposed to do it.
right.
Like per the Hollywood unwritten rules or
Right.
whatever, like Tom Cruise with his level of success
Right.
is not supposed to be doing those things, and you know that he's doing those things.
That's true, yeah.
I think that's the main thing.
Definitely adds a layer to it. Which I just looked it up, and I knew he was connected to that plane. Like he genuinely was on the plane as it took off. He was on an Airbus A400M, whatever that means, without the use of visual effects or a stunt double. At times, he was suspended on the aircraft 5,000 feet in the air.
It's just so stupid. He's just so stupid.
He definitely just like every movie he's gone like, okay, what can we do this time?
Right.
No, I forgot. This has 2 insane scenes though. I don't know really any details, but in this movie, the MI6 woman's in it. Her
Mhm.
name is Ilsa Faust. Actress's name is Rebecca Ferguson. She is a part of it, which I'm a big fan of her as well in this series. And this scene is done where he has to like dive into a submerged like data center, and the whole like turning of engines off on. He has 3 minutes to do the whole thing. Can't have any air assistant devices.
Mhm.
And that scene is also insane.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
like finally like you're back to having a scene where you're like, you as the viewer are like holding your breath.
Yes, absolutely.
Like you feel like you are running out of oxygen, and you feel like the immense like pressure or whatever of like the situation. And I
Yeah.
actually wonder if it was timed out, that the entirety of it, like when you got the effect of the full 2.5-3 minutes.
Probably. Just like thinking.
I feel like I
Yeah.
feel like you probably did. I actually wish like I would have paid a little more attention to that. Because it feels like forever.
It does.
Like the entire scene feels like forever.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene is so incredibly well done. And really like this entire movie is like top to bottom, like damn near the perfect movie.
Yes.
Right? Like it really has it all, and it is done extremely well. And then to realize, maybe not necessarily in the moment, or like maybe you do realize it. I don't know. I can't remember when this movie came out, but like this is literally setting up to be like a 2-parter effectively. And the way it like goes about doing that is like, whew, what a way to kick off. I mean, literally damn near a perfect movie.
Yep. 100%.
It's paced incredibly well, right? Like every Mission Impossible movie for the most part is paced pretty well. This has an incredible. This had the motorcycle scene.
Yep. It did.
Right after Benji and
literally right after he
Ethan
was pulled
flip.
out of the right after he did the 3-minute submerged thing. It's literally
They're driving,
right after
yep.
that.
And
they're
then-
driving, trying to chase Ilsa because she took the thing they needed.
And God, is there anything else like that Tom Cruise outside of adrenaline? Is there anything he loves more than riding a fucking motorcycle?
I know.
And he rides it so well. He
That motorcycle scene is very good.
so good. It's so good.
It properly uses the like revving, the like the like coming and going of intense motorcycle sounds versus the second movie
right?
that like is so annoying about it. Like it's not satisfying. Like this is satisfying the way it's done. Much more like high stakes. Like clearly you're literally, I forget what city they're in. They're somewhere in like Italy or something. But yeah, just a lot more intense, a lot more interesting, a lot better done. And it's just probably about, it's probably the same length. It's a long like series of the whole motorcycle chase. But yeah, so good.
Yeah.
And I love Ilsa Faust, the MI6 or the British agent in the movie. Literally, I love that she's not really, this is like obviously a huge spoiler, but the movie's from 2015. She's not really flipping sides. She's just trying to get herself out of like the scenario she's in. Like she's not really a like bad agent. She's not really trying to like hurt like the IMF or anything. Like she's on their side, but like she's screwed in so many ways that like she only sees one way out. And I love that like her, I guess because we finally have like a consistent like female character, because before now if there was, they were there at that movie and then gone. And literally her like way at Tom Cruise is like she knows he'll never hurt her. And so like literally the end of the motorcycle scene is he's managed to like kill or get rid of every guy who was hunting her on a motorcycle. And so now he's just trying to catch up with her, whether to make sure she's okay, whether to get back the thing he needs, we don't like know in theory. But literally all she does is walk out in front of the middle of the road, like being like, I know you won't hit me.
And he throws himself.
And he throws himself off. Like that's literally her at him the entire movie because like he won't hurt her.
Right.
And it just makes it more interesting.
100%. I think this was also the movie that I had kind of the realization, and this has been over the entire series, but like I really had the moment of like, again, I think it was this and not sex, where it's just like Ethan straight up just kills people.
Oh yeah.
Like they don't like do any sort of like, oh, he shot to incapacitate.
No.
And like everybody's just knocked out, like Batman, right? Like everybody's just knocked out.
Right.
Batman doesn't actually kill anybody.
Right.
Spider-Man would never kill someone.
Right.
And it's just like there's one scene where I think they're like running down alleys and he like runs up and a car stops and he literally just pops like two of the people. And I was just like, it was in that moment where I was just like, oh yeah, like they just straight up like kill people.
It's very much once you've been registered as the enemy, you are going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Like they do a lot to like protect general public.
Yes.
But yeah.
I don't know why this like movie was finally the one where I was just like, oh, he doesn't just like punch somebody and knock their lights out. Like, no, he'll just straight up like execution style murder somebody if he has to.
Right.
And it's just like,
it's funny.
Yeah. It was just kind of weird that it took me this long to like really have that moment.
Yeah. Well, because I think we've gotten used to characters that incapacitate.
Well, yeah.
People.
And I guess it's also because like for the most part, I can't really think. I just don't know if like ever on camera you actually are watching him like shoot somebody and then the person just slumps or whatever.
Not very often.
Like and recent. Like, oh, like he knocked somebody off the motorcycle, but like again, because you're so used to these other movies, it's just like, oh, that person didn't die.
You're like, if you didn't see him dead, he's not dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like I don't know if it's just that or whatever, but like maybe there just haven't been enough scenes where it's just like literally he's running and people are coming in on him and he like has to just like, I can only go this way. You are in my way.
Right.
Boom, headshot.
Right. 100%.
I just thought it was like really funny that I kind of had that realization. And again, not to say that like, oh yeah, Ethan became like dark Ethan. This is what they've been doing, and it just for whatever reason finally clicked with me. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
What else? Honestly, great villain. Like you want to talk about this is because 4 is really good, right? Yes. To like kick off this like new era almost.
Yeah.
4 is incredibly good, but like Philip Seymour Hoffman is a much better villain in 3 in Rabbit's Foot than any other villain through the first 4, right? Like
100%.
Maybe 1 is like decent, but like because it was the first movie, it's just kind of like whatever.
Yeah. One was a very interesting. 1 felt like such a classic spy movie thing, like because literally he was like on Ethan's team and then like turned.
Oh, sorry, no, I'm actually thinking of 2. Like 2 had a solid villain.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
just the
yeah.
overall
The
movie wasn't
movie
done
was
well.
not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking of him. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Like, I mean, honestly, like from him to 3, like really not much difference in them. It's just one was, I think, played much better, and then the overall movie was better. And then 4 we talked about was just kind of like that. Honestly, was probably the thing that
He was just evil.
that was probably the thing that like no, he was just there.
No,
Like,
right, but
he didn't say anything.
Right.
Like, you know, like there
Right.
was nothing to get you to try and relate to him, right?
Yeah.
And I think you said it. It's just like you don't need to
You
like
don't-
feel for the villain or anything, but
No.
like there's something to be said about why Thanos is such a good villain,
Right.
Right? Because it's like you get his full image, and whether or not you can relate or feel for or whatever is one thing, but to just to have the basic understanding of like what are you doing, right? Which I feel like in 4 you just don't
You
have.
have no concept.
Like, you're
you
just
don't really know his plan until like the very end when they're like, we gotta stop him. But like you don't really know his goal. You don't really know what
The
he's
thing
like.
that saves the movie is that the movie overall is really good and like paced really well, and is it just an overall really good action movie. But when you actually take a step back, and I think that plays into maybe why 3 is a little bit ahead of 4 for both of us. This one though, it's just like no, you just kicked off like an incredible villain.
Yes.
And then again, spoiler, but like he carries over into the sixth
I know.
movie.
In my brain. I'm trying to think of what I want to say because I can't even like differentiate him between 5 and 6. But I mean, he has a worldwide reach from what we know.
He has an entire crime syndicate.
He's able to work in the shadows, but yet seems to have a touch on everything you've ever known. And from what we understand, whole goal is to create like mass global destruction of like society.
But he's not a terrorist.
Right.
Because he doesn't care about people's terror or whatever, right?
Yes, but yeah.
But anyway, like we actually get a really good villain. And like that's again from top to bottom, this movie is just so good. And then it's so 7-year-old, 8-year-old movie at this point. So we're getting full into it. Literally the entire concept is that the MI6 is trying to clean up their fucking mess because they're the ones who created the syndicate.
Yeah.
It was their idea to do so. The prime minister never wanted to do it. He thought it was a terrible idea, but MI6 went ahead and did it anyway. And then I forget what the guy's name is, but he is now effectively a rogue agent, and he is working this entire crime syndicate.
Sean Harris, or his character's name is Solomon Lane.
Solomon Lane. That's
yeah.
And so now it's like, this movie's like trying to clean up that mess.
Right. But it's also fun because I say fun, like the corruption ran so deep that it's not like you're having to just like sit in a room with the evil guy and like he's telling you why he did what he did. Like you're finding out.
I don't know why I did it, Ethan Hunt.
Like you're finding out these pieces like by just like going through other things, like, which is very exciting as well. Another
incredible thing is another scene that makes you like kind of lose the air in your lungs is the Benji strapped with a bomb.
100%.
And Solomon's talking through Benji, and Benji's just repeating that is also just what an incredible scene. All the things that happen, they get out of it, obviously.
Right.
But then for it to be that, so Ethan does the classic, like, I'm now your computer. I'm the only way for you to get what it is that you want because I read the disc and then I smashed the disc.
Yep.
And so he knows that they won't kill him. And so then he lets Rebecca Ferguson's character, the MI6 agent, use him as a human shield. And then you get this incredible like shoot off scene.
Yep.
Right. And then that I think is when the scene comes where he runs to a car, shoots somebody. And I'm like, oh yeah, they are legit killing people.
Yeah.
So it's all that. But
it's so good.
So good. You are on such a high this entire movie.
And it's somewhat like the actual ending of Solomon Lane is captured. He's not killed. He's captured.
And the capture is so good.
The way it's all done, it like gives you that such satisfying, like we've sort of had a plan the whole time. Like there was, like we knew all this was going to happen. They basically had to like kind of trick their Secretary of, like the United States Secretary of State, who's played by Alec Baldwin. Like they sort of have to get him into it, but he like can't know what's going on. But he like they have to like trick a bunch of people.
They actually do a really good job of like, aha, I was wearing a mask the entire time. Like, because it always has to come into every movie, which I think finally Fallout is the first one where they go, no, we're not going to do that. I think.
You might be right.
I don't think there's any mask off situation. No, I lied. Anyway, such a good movie. So well done.
Yeah.
Literally, the way they like capture him is so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he thinks he has Ethan cornered, and then it's just like now, and then the case comes up, and it's just like, you thought you were in a room, but you weren't. It was all set up.
Yep.
And it's just like, and then like, again, to not try and get into 6 too much, but like that then, like they bring that back. So good. So good.
It is very good.
Very good movie. Anything else you want to say about it?
No.
All right. Rank it. Where does it land for you?
Okay. For me, it has to be, I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything. It has to be 5 is the best so far.
5.
And then it would definitely have to be 3.
4.
4, 1, 2.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I obviously already watched 6, but we won't say anything. I sat there and I was like, this is tough.
It is tough.
Choosing 5 and 6. Because like again, bottom 3 have been decided. That is not changing. And I don't ever see, as much as I love 3, I don't ever see it growing to like beat these new ones.
Yeah, like what it comes down to is, and this is what we talked about, 4 and 3 are so incredibly close.
Yeah.
That if you're better than 3, you almost have to be better than 4.
Right.
Or wait, if you're better than 4, you almost have to be better than 3.
Yeah.
And if you're worse than 3, you almost have to be worse than 4.
Right.
And so it's like such a tight window. And it's just like 5 and 6 are both just so good. And
it's also so hard when they truly do, when a story does build off of itself, like versus all 5 movies thus far were like solo stories.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the characters carry over, being like Ethan Hunt and IMF, but
and really I truly only see like true, like I could consider them like not standalone.
Yeah.
4 into 5, 5 into 6. Even though 4 doesn't necessarily need to be there, like you could just start with like 5 and 6 are very much like the contained story.
Yeah.
You can't have 6 without 5.
Correct.
But you can have 5 and 6 without 4 technically. I just feel like they are much more cohesive movie to movie than 1 was to 2, than 2 was to 3.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
also,
obviously 3 to 4.
So much is said in 4 that you like understand why things go the way they do a little bit and specifically 6, but it wouldn't ruin it to not see 4 and then go see 5.
But you know what I mean? Like they're the most connected. Like, those 3 are way more connected than the first 3.
Oh, absolutely.
In any way.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be really. It's again, any story building off of itself. It's so hard to sit there and go like, "But which one's better?"
Well, yeah. So I mean, like the way you have to think about it is like not to put it on the same pedestal, but like it's literally like Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Like you can't have Endgame without Infinity War. So like Infinity War, you could see as like, well, it's the one that set it up.
Right.
You needed Infinity War, and it's so amazing.
Thinking that way though,
and like,
then I feel like you're immediately just putting them in a hierarchy without like anything else.
Right. Well, and then you could say that like, well, you need to end the story perfectly. And like, does Endgame do that?
Right.
Personally, no. I think Infinity War is fantastic, but I think Endgame has still fantastic. But like it has more things that I could have a gripe about.
Yeah.
And just like overall, like rewatching it even, I'm just kind of like, this kind of has some slow moments. Infinity War is just, because they had 3 hours and they didn't need to give it a true ending. Right. Like they gave it an incredible ending, but like there is no true ending because you know it's a ... to be continued, you know.
Right.
And you'll wrap it up in the next one. And so it's like the perfect movie.
Yeah.
For it does exactly what it needed to do. And so that's why for me it's like better than Endgame. But like you need Endgame to wrap it up. So like that's exactly how 5 and 6 are.
I feel like it's easier, and this is me completely just guessing and having no actual experience. I feel like it's easier to write a cliffhanger than it is to write an ending.
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But 5 doesn't necessarily give like a full cliffhanger.
I genuinely I literally, my last note, and this is going to be a spoiler for 6, but again, we're spoiling all of them. Apparently, I totally forgot Syndicate is pretty much wrapped up by the end of the movie.
Right.
Because I was convinced, the Syndicate does end here. Spoiler alert, it fucking doesn't. Because that's why I kept saying, like, no, I know this, like, I keep calling him the mousy guy. I know Solomon Lane carries over. I know he's bigger than any other villain. But then as soon as we watched that, I went, oh, I guess he's not. I guess I just really remember 5. No, he definitely is there for 6. The Syndicate definitely still exists for 6.
Because
well,
it's this massive network.
Yeah, we'll obviously explain that next week. But, like, no, I literally, like, 5 could have ended Solomon Lane. It could have, like, 100%. And, like, you could walk away being like, wow, that's crazy. I can't wait to see what villain we get next. But yeah, it's crazy. They did, like, because it didn't need to continue, but I'm obviously happy.
It like also made me realize that, like, with the whole new one is called Dead Reckoning Part 1. Like, it's specifically called Part 1. And, like, I had it in my head that, like, oh shit, they're literally wrapping up Mission Impossible. But like, I think it was our friend Ian who was just like, are they? And I was just like, well, I'm assuming, like, why would you do like a 2-parter if not to like put a bow?
Right.
5 and 6 are literally a 2-parter.
Yeah, they just didn't like say it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like kind of annoyed that it's just like, why did you call it like?
I wonder if they're now.
But I wonder if Dead Reckoning is going to have a true cliffhanger. Like Thanos snap, you feel defeated, you walk out of the theater. Like I wonder if it's going to have that, or if it's going to, and it's like, how are the IMF and Ethan going to get out of this? Or is it going to be like, no, it's a pretty good wrap up, but there is more to explore, which is literally 5 and 6. Right. Like 5 is a great wrap up. But then 6 is like, but what if the Syndicate kept operating without Solomon Lane? Right. And then it's like, here you go. Right. You know, so I wonder if is it going to be like that, or is it going to be a true cliffhanger situation? Yeah. And then that, you know, I guess kind of makes sense. Part 1, part 2, blah, blah, blah. But
crazy.
5 is so good.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm really excited to like discuss if 6 is the king, or do you think the egg came first?
It's hard. It's hard. Anyway.
Man, I was just excited talking about it. What a great movie.
I know. I'm literally like sitting here going, oh no, I'm probably have to like sit and think and write notes out about 6. Or next week I'm going to be like, what was 6 again?
There's only one thing you need to remember about 6.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. That is all, I believe. Right?
I think that's it.
Well, thank you all for listening and watching. You can find this podcast audio-wise pretty much everywhere on streaming services, video-wise on YouTube at SMSoup Podcast, and we are on TikTok and Instagram at SMSoup. And if you ever want to find...
Just SMSoup?
SMSoup Podcast. Sorry. Thank you. And Spencer and my socials are always in the show description. So that is all. Thank you all. And I still don't have a canned outro. So we'll see you next week.